call the meeting. And I want the commissioners to be able to leave the podium and go out and sit with the audience while we ask our questions. We have a special guest today, the NMDOT. They're going to do a public meeting concerning the road diet and the upcoming changes, and discuss and answer questions for us. And we'll stay on YouTube.
Yeah.
And so folks can get that. They'll also be able to get the presentation.
Yeah.
So everybody out there in YouTube land, please continue to stay with us and pay attention, and we'll try to make this presentation work for you guys. So with that, I adjourn the meeting at 5:30, and we'll move on to the audience.
Inside the see how it can see the people. I'm actually trying to decide that way the camera can still see you. Okay.
Thank you. Okay. All right, change a little bit of the format. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really first want to thank Mayor Pro Tem, commissioners, city staff to invite us at NMDOT here tonight to give an update on our upcoming enhancements to the road diet that was implemented. First of all, my name is Andreas Gunet. I'm the technical support engineer and engineer of record for these projects. I work out as Deming, and I really can tell you, I have been working for your community now for almost 12, 13 years, starting with the roundabouts, going through the road diets, the road improvements, doing the Williamsburg interchange. I really believe that your community is very special. It has a character that is, I don't know, I really know another community that's can mirror where you guys are at. The fact that your leadership, your community is open to think about changes is for me as an engineer to see that, not always swerve by standards and regulations, and hopefully find an infrastructure, an environment that works for a community and make it safer. That's a blessing. So first of all, I want to thank you all for that. Thank you for being here tonight with me. What we want to talk about is the project and how changing the road configuration from the original 2-lane highway style road configuration through your downtown, what is a mixed use environment, bicyclists, pedestrians, tourists, people want to enjoy being out there, to the conditions that we see today in here. This concept that we implemented this summer with our road improvements to the asphalt is truly brand new concept, top of the art and form of roadway safety. We call the concept visual friction. But this means, sorry, I'm falling back into my native German here a little bit. What this means truly, when you enter into your downtown area, narrowing the corridor, the roadway down to an 11-foot feet, put wide lane and having vertical obstruction in form of parking cars. Everybody takes a deep breath, slows down, pays attention, and moves forward. This is the entire concept. And just so you understand the history of this, the road diet itself was brought to us from you. The city did a safety study back in 2021, and that road diet this safety plan was adopted, and that road diet was the long-term goal, potentially even for the city to take over downtown, so that these type of improvements can be implemented. We were lucky, we found some maintenance money through the summer. We were able to convince our state traffic engineers to support the concept, and we ended up with our process that you see in the field. What was the problem? While this road diet concept really is top of the art for road user safety, not every community, not every again, every community is unique, feels comfortable with all the municipal services within that environment. But this concept of the 11-foot lane with the adjacent parking, or at least a narrow road, is common in Santa Fe areas of Las Cruces, Albuquerque. Over here, we had a meeting after we actually saw it, and because it's different. If I show it to you in a schematic, it's very different than you actually live in. I think everybody can, even for myself, when I drove through it, I said, whoa, that's different. Yeah. So we had a chance to meet with city staff, with your fire chief, with the state fire marshal, and we went everything through because fire marshal said, I do not know, even if we provided an offset gap approach for fire trucks to set up in a case of an emergency, it didn't create a comfort level that your fire chief and the staff would like to see. So we've been back to the drawing board. Today, earlier, we went through a permit variance request, talked about continuous roadways. Fire chief is comfortable with 20-foot open pavement segment so that you can get to the front of your buildings without any interruption. And he was really worried about not being able to pull in the parked car with you. Right in the spot where he really needed to be. I'm not a firefighter. I don't know what it means to attack a fire from an angle. I would never, if he tells me it's not the safest way, I agree. So what did this mean for us? To create that 20-foot wide continuous piece of surface, we had to go to the old concept where we're moving the parked cars out adjacent to the sidewalks. That's okay. We can still keep our 11-foot travel lane, narrowing down. That slows down the visual aspect. We're just losing our vertical concept. What are we losing? We introduced a multi-use path that allowed your bicyclists to go two ways within the corridor. We will not have sufficient space to create a safe environment for that anymore. So it's a compromise. We're opening up the surface, so the safety for the fire apparatus to come in and set up will be given. We still let the bicycles in, but it goes back to the old concept of the one direction. So what you see here are the renderings. What we're proposing is, because currently with the project, we just finalized the design. This project we're gonna go to bid here in a couple of weeks. Then we're gonna see a contractor, and hopefully beginning of the year, we actually have them to make these enhancements. You know, what we're trying to do here, we're gonna bring tubular markers, about 3 foot high. And we're gonna set them at the driveways, we're gonna set them at the intersections, so that vehicles who turn right into the direction of traffic, actually not by accidents, now using the bike lane to travel. You know, so in the mid block, let's see, in the mid block, because we now created a conflict point. The conflict point is for your vehicle to go to the right side parking stall. He actually has to cross the bike lane. The current situation, that was the big advantage for the road user safety. That conflict point was taken away. The bicyclist was really next to the pedestrians and parked vehicles. Now we have two moving vehicles next to each other. Not ideal, but again, we're creating a buffer in between that hopefully creates that safety that everybody with a little paying more attention can take care of each other. We're gonna install round little, they're called raised pavement markers. They're about 6 inches tall. They're like little domes. We're gonna put them out 10-foot markings. So if a driver sways towards the bike lane, there will be a physical impact, a motion that, oh, pay attention, you're entering into an area where you shouldn't. It is a concept similar to a rumble strip. You know, if you sway off the roadway, you get a a little marker, so we're following that concept. We talked about the tubular markers. What else we gonna do? We're definitely gonna start putting symbols, pavement symbols onto the pavement. We're gonna refresh all the striping which is put in, stop bars, crosswalks. We're gonna put arrows down. So for people who are unfamiliar with the concept, there's more guiding elements on the ground. And we're gonna come in and we're actually gonna replace all your signage. So they're gonna be fresh, vibrant. People should be comfortable by just following the visual markers going through the downtown area. Additional little changes, well, we were asked to implement through city staff. Up Post Street, entering from South Boulevard, up from South Broadway, there seems to be a wrong way traffic movement. People try to cut the corner. We have delineators, the same tubular markers that we can put in the middle of the lane, trying to prevent people from going against traffic laws. Entering from either end into the downtown area, we heard when the sun is just in the right angle, the striping is hard to see. So we're gonna actually raise pavement marker with reflections. We're gonna run them along the shoulder, so this guides in this scenario, makes it safer to complete the merge movement. And we heard when you come in from Date Street, that left turn, since we're already in a reduced merge area into the Family Dollar, and create a backup. So what we're gonna do, we just lengthen this merge, just making it obvious for people that they can go to the right and actually pass anybody who's waiting for this turn. Little caveat, we had a little extra money, so we decided to move forward, give you guys these speed radar feedback signs. That means when you approach, you actually get a direct feedback of what is the actual traffic. These gonna be set up at each side of the entrance and hopefully remind everybody that you should not be faster than 25 miles an hour. As I mentioned, we finished the design. It's currently in Santa Fe under review. It's gonna go to bid in October. So we're gonna see if we find contractors interesting to perform this work. And then what we still need to do with city, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Manager, that lighting agreement for these radar beacons. You know, we need to make sure that we get that in place. And then for the Main Street community, you guys have a Oak Street project coming up that's going in construction. So I just have to make sure, and I will attend your pre-construction meeting. It's on September 15th now, 11th or something. I think so. The 15th. Something. And they have a pre-con meeting with the contractor. We're just gonna come in and making sure that they're gonna start at the tie-in into Main Street and Broadway first, so they can work independent on all their improvements. Then beginning of the year, our contractor comes in, you know. Just to understand, the contract has been extended to 60 days for construction. The reason for that, when they're painting stripes, there's always 14 days between applications. So you don't gonna see 60 days of continuous construction. However, we don't want them to put wet paint on wet paint, then it doesn't. It's not as sustainable doing it. This is where we are today, and I am standing for any question, any concerns to discuss that you may have.
I have 2.5 questions. So the first question is, in the lanes for the cars,
Yes.
will there be first of all, no, let me say thank you for including bike signage. That's a big deal. And I feel like that's actually one of the big reasons that what we have now doesn't work. But I understand that it's just a line of. So my first question, will there be wrong way signs for traffic moving the wrong direction in the driving lanes that are?
So in the 11th driving lane, this is not a standard where you put directional, whoever was traffic direction arrows in. But that's where the new signage and everything comes in, and every intersection will actually have either right, left turn, well, to right, to left. So there will be markings on the side streets approaching the downtown.
Okay. That would cross. And then the second thing is, I don't know what the rule is regarding the, like, people who are crossing the bike path to park their car. And to that end, once you tell me what the answer is, will there be like instructional videos for social media, like similar to what you guys did for the traffic circles?
So there is FHWA has road diet, bike path, these instructional videos, they do exist. What I can do, I can go in and share them with city staff, and they can put it, you guys can post it on your website. We have a project website with NMDOT for this project specific. I don't know if you get the chance to visit the site. No, we can add that link. We already have one on there. Back to your question about who has the right of way when you cross. So the bicycle has the right of way in that case. But it really comes down to having a courtesy
Right?
and paying attention. Right? Because I'm as a bicyclist, even if I have the right of way, I still not gonna win.
No, you're not. I mean, I wouldn't win against the
Right.
car.
So it is that. As you can hear my accent, I'm from Germany, I come up from Europe, where mixed use roadways are common everywhere without striping. Sometimes these roads are not even wide enough for opposing traffic, but opposing traffic is allowed. People pull into little driveways and let each other. It's what it is the awareness of the driver to stop. And the awareness of the driver is high when the speed is low. If I go slower, if I slow down, I actually can see what's around. So this whole road diet concept comes out of that theory. The current condition that you see in the field was created because of the conflict of bicyclists. That crossing movement that you're describing, it is a conflict point and it's a serious thing. However, I cannot take away access for the fire truck if the community cannot support it. I hope I answered it.
You did. Thank you very much.
Andres, I would add, today is the first day to use our YouTube channel. This is one of our goals we've been trying to put in. And Carrie, our PIO, has done one video where we've shown an infrastructure we're going to improve. And so our vision, we've talked about this, would be to create some educational videos that we could enhance on our site that would show, real time, like, this is what you're supposed to do. So I think we'll take that piece seriously and follow through with as quickly as we can, developing the proper education for turning on Boat Street and kind of all those little nuances of the roads.
And I truly appreciate it. I don't know who was sorry. We had, when the roundabouts came in, right before we opened them to traffic, we came into the schools and we did a full day of education with every classroom and everybody who was interested in that topic, so that only works because of the partnership that we have. Right, we're supporting each other. So I'm really happy to hear that YouTube channel is going to come out and put out more awareness. Thank you for that.
Thank you. All right, so first off, I have to thank you for painting this. I actually drew it for the joining streets, the little indicators on which way you could turn. I'm happy about that because it's something I've been talking about for about 10 years now. It's nice to see it. Secondly, on the one picture in Oak Street, Oak and Broadway, there's two pictures on the same one. One has a bump out and the other one does not. Are we losing that bump out?
No, we are not changing any geometry. All this is signing, striping, and markers. And our radar sign.
Yep, the only other thing I wanted to say is I attended the first meeting. I didn't put my name on either of those things. I thought it was the stupidest idea I'd ever seen. However, I did stay open-minded to the idea, and I actually like the way that it works now. I know that that a lot of people don't like it. People don't like change. I find that the majority of the problems are just bad drivers. I get the fire, the need for the emergency vehicles, but having worked downtown for 8 years and owning property down there, I saw more than my fair share of accidents down there. And slow everybody down was such a good thing. So I hope that the new version continues to keep people going slower through downtown.
Thank you very much for that. Before I, sir, one of the things, and there's where as my profession, we learn as well. That's why I make my introduction to the uniqueness of the community. Prior to the roundabouts, you guys never had a buffer zone. The war areas. So sometimes when I look at things, when I go through my guidelines and everything, it makes 100% sense to me. But sometimes I forget that the people I introduce it to maybe haven't never seen that. You know, so it's a learning experience. And these concepts, the NMDOT came up with vision, target zero, vision zero. We invested a lot of money. We're trying to bring fatalities on the roadways in Mexico to zero. When you told me this the first time, I wanted to quit my job. How am I supposed to do this? It's impossible, right? But that's the wrong attitude. No. Can I achieve it with one project, two projects? Probably not. But can I attempt to create a safe environment every improvement I make? Yes. But it means change. So thank you for acknowledging.
Yes, thank you. And I want to start as well to say, appreciate the department. Received some of the feedback and responded. I've got 2 or 3 questions. First one is, have you done speed monitoring on both Main and Broadway since these changes?
Can you please repeat that?
Yeah, have you done speed monitoring? It's like where I sit every day, I look at Foch and Main.
Yes.
You have not reduced speed on Main. If the only reason it slows down is if there's somebody who enters that portion of road off of Davie. Out of town, we talked about us locals learning it, well, that's all well and good. But we get a lot of through traffic and they're confused. And so they will slow down. Then they get people behind them that get very impatient. And if they do happen to pull over far, or if they stop at Foch and Main, which is very common, then once they decide they don't know which way they should turn, they're completely baffled at that. If they do happen to get out of the way, pull over to what they think is a driving lane in the parking lane, then the traffic behind them hits the pedal and they go flying by. And if you stood down at the bottom of the hill, you would see them approaching 40, 50 miles. So I understand what happened on Broadway because it's become more congested. And that naturally forces people to slow down. So I'm not clear, and that was my question. Have you done speed tests on both roads that you can give us quantified data that shows us that traffic on Main is actually slowing down?
No. The answer is no. At this point, like I said, we implemented this concept just this summer.
Yeah.
You know, and no, we have not started. And just so the way this works is a partnership between the state and the local entities. So at one point, very similar to we're tracking the accidents around the roundabouts, have the roundabouts really done positive or negative to the accident behavior or occurrence. The same is going to happen with the road diet, where we work closely with city staff and the police reports of occurrences.
Have we guys done studies on the speed tests?
No, so we don't have the equipment. It would take a speed trainer with data or we don't have it. Yes, sir.
For you. The next question I had was, you're talking about fire apparatus.
Yes.
I didn't hear it mention police, which is the same issue. Is that not right? Or they're wider?
That's exactly the fire truck versus outriggers. In case you have 2-story buildings within the downtown area, that is where the fire truck, the fire apparatus acts for continuous roadway here in this town with our coordination and communication with the fire chief, a minimum of 20 feet. That's what he needs. And therefore, what you see right now, we have the 11-foot travel lane, we have the buffer, the 6-foot bike lane, and the buffer, that adds up to 20+ feet.
That leads to the follow-on question. I'm racing to a fire. I come around onto Broadway. Fire's down at the other end of Broadway. How's the traffic get out of the way? Where do they go?
They continue driving until they find an area where they can pull over safely. There is nothing different on any other road anywhere. That's when the fire emergency services turn on the lights and the sirens. You as a driver, you're going to proceed in the direction of traffic until you safely can pull over and let the emergency service out.
So that's basically the length of the block, unless when you start off at Daniels, you got a long, long block just to get to Poach. And if there's cars in that space, and they've got to turn on the Poach, then you've got to back up there for the bottom.
Nobody just continues down Broadway until they pass this area or go into the side street.
We may need a YouTube on that too, but.
So the big thing is, the big concern the fire chief had was the parked vehicle adjacent, you go back to the current condition, right? It was never the traveling vehicle chief was worried. It was the vehicle sitting in the center parking stall where the owner is having lunch, sitting out, having a hair appointment, whatever it is. And he's coming in, and right in that location is where fire actually happens. And now he cannot set up because he only has the 11-foot wide travel lane. So he has to move into the next intersection, or as you guys saw, we started adding cones in some parking stalls. That was like a strategic decision as an interim solution, where she could still set up in case and start fighting.
Yeah, and I get the lane, and I think it's great that you're taking part in the other Blue Street. But that means things work. Putting it back to the side. But I got one final question. At the meeting that was referenced by Linda, had about 25 attendees with about 24 hours notice, which was, I thought, sorely inadequate. And it's proof of that when the town was uproar over what you did. Now you've got a meeting that I heard about in 2 hours. I don't know if anybody else saw it advance. And we've got 7 citizens, even 9. You really think that this level of input from the community will help them to react more positively to this? Are you prepared to address the issues you haven't addressed, like when they talk about handicap access and whatnot? You've got a community who is very cynical about DOT's behavior in this town. And I'm concerned that even with the merit, and there is merit in your new plan, people are not going to be happy about it. They're going to come up with 1,000 reasons why this is as bad as the last. So my question is, why wasn't there more notice? Why wasn't the community? We saw an article in the paper. If you subscribed to the paper, you knew that there was work being done. Those of us downtown saw the chief and Gary and others walking around looking. That was very reassuring to the community downtown. But nobody that I talk to regularly is aware that this is happening, other than having seen you guys. When is the community at large? When is there a real public hearing? Because if you'd had a real one the first time, I think you would have heard about some of the concerns before you did all that. So now you're going to do the work, and you still don't have positive feedback from the community before.
I truly appreciate your statement. To explain tonight I am invited by council to come and present, and staff decided to take this opportunity of presence being here. The public outreach is always going to be a combination between the city and the state. We will support whatever is needed. You know, if I have to come back, I come back. You know, so if we need to do something else, you know, we can do that. You know, so to answer for tonight I was invited to present to council, and then I was asked to stay.
So this event is meeting sponsored by the municipality, not by the state.
That's correct.
Not a public hearing.
No, I mean, this is a public hearing in the setting of the community.
Well, one of the complaints about the last one is it violated public hearing law. The last one. I think, outside. So that's an important question, because there are actual regulatory applications for a public meeting would be helpful. So that's what I'm looking for. There's the public hearing that comes and shows everybody. And people who are interested about what's.
Thank you so much.
So if I can interrupt you for 1 second. I think tonight was kind of designed to start the conversation. To get started getting the word out. You're going to take comment now for how long? How much longer?
We have the public comments period, the website is still open, we're doing it continuous.
So if there's any further comments or anything else to be said, it's still open and still available. So tonight was just a spur, some conversation.
Well, and I was the first time I saw the new. I think
This is the first time that you,
people wouldn't comment on something that.
That's just what really matters. Part of it, I know you made some movement to try to get this out to the public. I mean, kind of talk about in the VIO done to get this out to the community
Well,
itself.
certainly, and I want to be, I want to try to call it like it is, right? The one concern is that most of the public and the fire department are not happy with the current situation. So we could do 60-day public comment and we could make more, but as I said to the press, we've taken public comment on the site since day one. You've been able to add, and we've listened to every one of those public comments. The DOT, we've sent everything we can. We received the plans last week. Last Tuesday was the first day that we finally received them, when they said, okay, we've taken everything, we've got it together. We quickly responded to get it to the outlets of our media, and then tried to say, we're going to have a meeting this week. Let's get it before the commission, and then at least get it to. But they're ready to go to bid, right? If he doesn't go to bid, if the new striker to come in to change it, it's going to remain in the current condition it is for a period of time until the public tells us that they want to do something that they like or don't like. I think so. Again, it's the DOT's right of way. It's their road. They've listened to the concerns of the fire chief. They've attempted to present to us a balanced approach, right? They're taking in the 20 feet. They're still trying to maintain safety for the slow traffic. They're still trying to maintain bikes. They're moving the traffic back to the curbs, and they're putting new signs. So I would say it would be unfair for me to say, let's hold it off for another 60 days to hear more of what we think would be similar comments, that we don't like the current design. We know that the DOT, based on the safety study, is not proposing going back to 2 lanes. And so what's the best condition that we could put together that resolves as many of the concerns as we possibly have? So I would say this is our best effort to try to get it to the public as quickly as we possibly could. I mean, we are within a week of having them, so we'll continue to take feedback. And as you can see from our road team, when we looked at it and identified what we felt were a concern, like a Family Dollar, that's just a real concern that we all have lived through, where we recognize. So we presented that. Our road team is concerned that at Planet Pizza, right, cars try to come across and they want to go to Bullock's, so they go across, and it's destroying the landscaping. So we made those recommendations, and they were easily able to take and make those changes. So I think if we keep getting comments that the DOT could make on a moment's notice, I think they would be able to. But to say we should have 60 days of feedback to go back to a 2-lane road, I don't want to not sit here and tell you that that's really not the intent and not going to happen. So, and I don't know how to make it any better than that, Art, than the fastest we can do here, right? We tried to get it to the paper last week, to put it out there. We posted this date. I know our PIO, we've tried to put it on our site to get as many people. We've
Posted it.
So I'm not trying to be argumentative. I'm just trying to be open and say that's as fast as we can. If we want to get to bid as quickly as we can.
I wanted to meet this, Katie Evans, he's our PIO, Public Information Officer. And I just wanted to point out that even if we have not presented in person on these changes have been public on that project website for how long now?
Every time we have a new concept, anything, we update our website. I work with a resident here that's also been pushing that, and then I see so many of you, and it's so fantastic that push it out on Facebook or your guys' local social media pages, so I personally see it on a lot of pages and pushed out. I've offered, multiple times to come and do pop-up meetings, became on a spur of the notice. The Fiesta was fantastic, that was something I paid out of my pocket to make sure that I attended for you guys. That wasn't state paid for, that was my pocket money paying to make sure that I was in your community. I was here wanting to hear your feedback, wanting to get that information. So we're always welcome and wanting to receive that because this is your community, you live in it. We want it to be what you're happy with. I want to really irradiate that to all of you.
And just to go back, that public comment period has been ongoing the entire time.
And isn't this part of the public comment? This is the result of what
That's
everybody has already been saying, and telling that they wanted to see happen. Go back to their parking spaces on the side. Blah, 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 blah. That's, we gotta get the fire truck through. So it seems like a perfect solution to me.
Yes, sir.
It's like they want it.
On the fire department side of the whole thing, I've been on page one of Paul Tully since this happened. And he told me, he said, Nick, he says, you can't get a truck down there. I was on the fire department when I was 20 years old. That's been a long time. But our downtown area, and historically it is, I hate to see that thing catch on fire. Because if every one of those buildings are connected, and we had a plan back in the day, we had one fire truck to make on the street, one in the out on both sides, if something was to happen. That way we could see if we could knock that thing down. Those buildings were old. When I first moved here in 58, they were being done, and I don't know when in the world they built, but that's the main thing. I can't imagine if we didn't have either side of that street on Main or Broadway. So, anyway, I take my hat off Paul, and everybody's good for him to go to his boss. And for you guys to get together on the same page and get that to our code and then pass that too. Safety, when I was on the fire department, that was our main word right there. The other one was see how we can get there and how we can get there. Sort of stuff. And the only other thing, and I probably talked to the chief about this, was on the bike lane. You talked about jumping over here, crossing the parking, that's all fair and well, and watching the bikes, but is there a speed limit on those guys? Because then they're trucking down through there. And it's 25 miles. Church the other day, was getting ready for and I was sweeping that, and I heard the lights, thinking of speeding on the light lane or the other one, instead of mine, it was just right there. But, gosh, those electric bikes, they're trucking, and you really gotta pay attention if you are gonna park.
So the speed limit for the bike is the same as for the vehicle. And you can get a speeding ticket on bicycle. Yeah, and as bicycle, the bicycle is the road. So, but first of all, thank you so much for explaining the necessity of the fire apparatus access. And again, back to where I come in and say, I have to learn myself, don't go through this, right? Because road user safety, that is, everybody tells me that that's what I have, road user safety. So sometimes you get this little tunnel vision. And man, yes, that's the best I can do. Then oops. Yeah. So but the beauty of this partnership, and this is what it is, it's a partnership between the state and community, is we can adjust. Right? We never did any geometric changes to any of the roadway. Everything is still there the way it was before. We're talking about all this was so far was strike. And it took a while. At the beginning, we got a lot of other comments. A lot of it at the beginning was negative. After a couple weeks, it's really not that bad. And then we got the first, hey, we love this. right? And then it was equal. And lately, it has been quiet. We haven't heard anything.
That's not the way government is supposed to operate. You saw, it's too undocumented, will. Say, oh, now everybody's happy. Everybody's not happy. Oh my God, fire a plane. Now you got a new one. I understand, you got timelines and bids and all. I'm not saying you have to abide by a 60-day either, because it's not your project, it's his. That said, I don't buy the argument. I don't buy that you don't have time or the resources to let people know that this, what was a major, major change, people didn't know about till they saw it. And now you're gonna do another somewhat major change to that and say, this is gonna satisfy all those people who didn't like the old one. Well, guess what? There's a lot of people like the old one, won't like this. And there's a lot of people who won't like either. And at least if the city stands up and says, we've done this, we've done meetings downtown, we've done meetings here and there. It doesn't even have to be you. It could be some spokesperson who presents this and gives people a chance to have a meeting. And honestly, the newspaper, I subscribe and advertise in the newspaper. The majority of voters in this town do not subscribe to the newspaper and don't. So there is no source. We're making an assumption. People know. So I'm just
The sources of
private city officials, think it would behoove us as a community to at least offer this sort of a presentation 2 or 3 more times, informal if you want, but let people know, because there are good things about it. It may calm things. Some of the, I don't see any of the business owners along that strip in this meeting. That affects on Broadway, that affects their business. And I can tell you, Main Street is working well, and you did build a curb out. So you said you didn't change the roadway. The roadway, at least on Main and corner approaching Main, they put some carve outs on the corners out there. So I know that some of it changed because I watch it every day. I see people getting. So there's places you got parking may not make sense. Anyway, I don't want to go on. I would add that you.
Also, it's, and it could be my fault, but I didn't know there was a project website. Never been on it, never knew anything about it. And that it could be that I needed to go ask some more questions. I love the way it is right now. I mean, sorry. It's so.
Really well too, but again, it has to be a compromise for all the city, not just for us. That's
Well, I would just conclude on that point, like we will continue to put it out, we'll continue to, drive traffic to the site so people can see it. We'll do some efforts that you've seen me do, we'll try to walk through downtown, we'll try to share it. I think the key point I want to make though is it would be disingenuous for me to say to the public, let's get all the comments and they're gonna change it or do something different. This is their design, this is their street, this is what they've made to compromise from all the public feedback they have. And this is the way it's potentially is going to be. And again, it is just striping. So I just don't want to sugarcoat that. I don't have a tool to say we're going to do something totally different. This is the best design based off commented feedback. And I will share with the group on the fire department side, before the document went to the press, I sent it immediately to Paul Tooley. Paul came to the office. We had a one-on-one phone call directly. Paul was given all of that so that he could review every one of the questions and concerns and agreed that it met the safety concerns and the standards that he was looking for, and he found it acceptable within the concerns that he had for the public. So he's not here to present, anybody could ask him, but he got a first opportunity really to review it soon after I received it.
And just to finalize it, any kind of correction to projects that are related to state routes, you can always, Tracy and I, we frequently talk about upcoming prospects, and I also look at the local government projects, for state funding that moves to community. So your manager and I, we talk a lot. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to your own leadership, and they can always get you in contact with me. We have every project that NMDOT does is publicly announced, shown, termite, maps in the If you have never visited the NMDOT website and you have a little time, it is a great resource to understand what's going on within the entire state. Your road safety audit, the road safety plan, these are public documents. I can just encourage everybody to really take advantage. And it has changed. Now our way to keep people informed through project websites, of course, the newspaper is not necessarily the best way to reach everybody. You know, these are nowadays acceptable methods for us to grow public outreach. I really, really want to thank all of you who did come out tonight and listen to me. Like I said, I love coming to this community. I'm impressed with the way you guys handle change. You know, and all I can say, thank you, and yes, sir.
I'd like to just ask the chief, since he drives the streets every day and he's seen the change before, you've seen the change now. What is your professional opinion? What's happening with the streets? Are they safer? Are we not safer? What's happening? Is it faster? Is it slower? What's just in general? What's your perception?
So it has naturally slowed people down because I think when they go in there, it's congested, so they do slow down. I have seen a lot of individuals get frustrated behind people going less than the 25, and then once that opens up, they do let go on that. It's so much bigger than just this, you know, it's across the board, you know, with the lowering of the penalty assessments. I mean, it's a big broader picture to get compliance with everything, you know, and so. But overall, I actually patrolled and actually ran traffic yesterday on Main side and then this morning on Broadway side. And I made like 3-4 traffic stops, issued some citations, and the speed's still there. But compared to when it was a 2-lane, I mean, it was just impossible. We'd be on traffic and somebody would blow right past us, and you know, we're dealing with this, so we can't really get to another one. So I mean, it has slowed down overall, and it seems pedestrian safety, it's a thing across the state, and so just people paying attention to roadways, not running people over. I could see it being the same with a 2-lane on each side, and then with it being congested like it is now, this new diet, it's a challenge people to make sure that they're walking within the crosswalks and not jaywalking and popping out in front of vehicles, and so there's challenges. I mean, there really is, and I think as a whole. We need to just adapt as a community, and you know, I know this is this is probably the 3rd time I looked at this design, and you know, it's going to be change again, and so it'll take some getting used to, and even for us, and how we enforce, and it'll take time. I know we were kind of premature with not letting them complete this project now, because I think it was in phases, if I'm not mistaken. We were still going to put some signage in, and we didn't get a chance to get to that yet, and so you know, so.
But just the idea that the cars are on either side of the street now is nice. And you have that bike lanes right there. That's a safety factor right there. To get those cars
Right.
starting like this.
Yeah, and having those rumbles, like a rumble strip type, where in case you're going over, you know, that's gonna be helpful. You know, I don't know that they're gonna be able to implement that right away. I'm sure it's gonna take some time.
It's part of the coming enhancement.
Yeah, so it's not gonna be
And we
change it.
did not do the rumble strip or stripe. Because then you really don't like even the truck coming down there.
I just appreciate the effort from DOT, because I know the funding across the state, and there's a lot of road projects that have been put on pause because of lack of funding or whatever, and so to get that kind of a turnaround is impressive. And I thank you guys for giving us that consideration.
I'd also like to say, you know, on behalf of the city, your guys' interest in the city, I really appreciate it. From the north end all the way through the south end, you know, your roadways, but we have benefited on the city streets as well with DOT funding, especially over the last few years, you know, looking at the new sidewalks and potential new roadways around the school district and, you know, some of the other areas that we've received funding for. Really appreciate all the money DOT is putting in to the city. Thank you. It's been great working with you.
By still meeting our requirements that we're.
Yeah, acknowledge one more thing. In part, you sit in a very unique location. You can see traffic every day. So I understand what you're saying, and maybe to me that becomes an enforcement issue. Because we've already done all the construction, we've already designed everything, it's gonna be taken care of. But if people are still not paying attention to what we're doing, to me, that becomes an enforcement issue. Maybe we can pay a little more attention to that area.
There's always areas to do better, sure.
Data, so if you could just compare speeding ticket difference between before and after the, accidents reduction, or at least like, I know in the roundabouts, sorry, the traffic circles, I know that's the great.
It's roundabouts.
Okay. But that even if there are accidents, they're like far less damaging because everybody's going slower. So just some kind of data to maybe ease, and if that's easily collected or not, but it seems.
So I can make the statement, we as a team, that's what we did. We make data driven, data driven decisions. Just so you know, it's accident data, the whole library of information is 2 years behind. So currently I'm working of 2023 accident. It takes about 2 years to get all the statewide accident reports implemented into the data bank. But it is, traffic circle was the old way, roundabouts is what we have.
And we all have access to that too. It's on the UNM website for crash traffic data. It's all public information still. Go in there, check your community, check the city, stats, but he's right there, they're 2 years behind.
And I will add, if you've been by the schools, we've had our streets department put up 2 signs on each side that give you the speed. Those also do collect data. Now, I've not spoken with Andres as to the signs that we're going to add to this corridor. So potentially they could be data collections, right? So they just monitor and let us know. But we would know what time speeding's happening, at the school, we can check the number of traffic. And so potentially we might be able to upgrade those. We're also working with the chief. We're going to try to find some of those to put in key locations in town where we're having speeding problems, where we can set those, potentially try to slow traffic down with that. And then get data, which would then help the chief know what time should I be patrolling in these areas when there is a tendency for people to speed. So I'll work directly with Andres to see if these signs, we couldn't enhance them, add the data component to that as well.
You and I want to thank you guys again for being here with us tonight. Let's hope next year is a new start and see how this new system is going to work. Another thing, all at the end of the day, it's just